Oh, we're good to go. Sweet. Should I give a countdown?
What?
Should I give a countdown?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna reset and then countdown. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. That's close enough. All right. So this is Minish Cap. We'll be going through the game. Let's see, a bit of history. So I've been running this game for a little too long. I want to say 4 years at this point. I'm top 5. I'm pretty okay. Everyone else who's above me is like 3 minutes better. So there's that. All besides the point. So Minish Cap was released in 2004 for the Game Boy Advance. I'll be playing on the Wii U Virtual Console just because it is a bit faster and also save states are nice for practice. But other than that, the versions are the exact same. Japanese version is used because it's faster, and that's about it. There are a few glitches that are in the Japanese version that aren't in the other versions, but we'll get to those later. But text is also faster. We're just about ready to start. Let's get good. I think it's good for now. Might be? Okay, sure. Give me like 2 minutes though.
Yeah.
All right, so the story for the beginning is you're going to get a sword from your grandfather, and we're going to have to go deliver that to the mayor. So we're just going to get this now. And we're also escorting Princess Zelda, who's our best friend, to the carnival and have fun at a carnival. So all typical 10-year-old stuff. All right, so assuming I didn't screw anything up, which is entirely possible, there's a manipulation to get a blue rupee right here. So that's actually something that we did from the beginning of the game, from the reset. There are a few manipulations in the run. I think there are 6 that I'm going to be doing. Yeah, there are 6 that I'm going to be doing. Unfortunately, a lot of the useful things that we would be doing with manipulations can't really be done because in a lot of places, RNG advances every frame, and that's just not viable to manipulate. But there are a few things like drops and enemy patterns that we can do after a save and quit. I'll point those out when we get there, though. A few speed techs, I guess, for the start of the run is we want... yeah, we want to place ourselves as close to where we're going to be standing as possible, so Link spends a little less time walking, since his walking speed during those animations is a little slower than normal. I was blackmailed by Private Cinnamon Bun. This was 2 years ago. I wasn't actually blackmailed. He told me to use Doshin, and I did. And I did last year as well, so now it's an asset tradition. Because I ran any percent 2 years ago and glitchless last year. A few new changes this time around, though, that we'll be seeing. Nice. I thought shield was on B for a sec, and that would have been really tragic. Anyways. So there's a few cutscenes coming up, but after that, it's pretty typical Zelda stuff. So we're just going to be mashing through that. Luckily, this game has a quality of life improvement, which if you just mash the D-pad, or in this case, spin the control stick, it still advances text, so I'll be doing that for a lot of the run. Yeah. So we're introduced to the bad guy, which is Vadi. He comes right here. This is the only time in the game that you'll see him walking. All the rest of the time he just teleports around, because if you have the power, why not? Also, big misconception, the light purple thing in his back is his hair, not his cape. So as far as story plots go, he's going to open a chest that contains all the evil in the world because he's trying to find something that's in this chest that apparently is not in this chest. So he just screws everything up. God damn it. All right, cutscenes are almost over. We're about to get started. All right, this maid can actually block us. She's pretty good at juking us here. Damn, we're good. Ooh, she almost did though. That was close. Ah, shit. All right, so we're being sent on a quest to restore the 4 sword and find the 4 elements, which we'll get to in just a sec. All right, so we're led to the village of the Minish, which are the people who know the most about the blade that Vadi just broke. And to beat Vadi, we need to restore the blade. So that's the quest for the game. We're going to go around and do that first. All right, the astute viewer will notice a glitch that I'm doing. It's called rolling. It's pretty fast. Yeah, rolling is basically the fastest form movement we have right now. Later we'll get the Pegasus boots. But for now we're just rolling around. Rolling, you'll also get a bit of invincibility at the beginning of the roll. So right here I can just roll through this guy and not take damage, which is nice. And that's going to be used here and there just to avoid taking damage. What's up, dude? All right. So this is Ezlo. Ezlo's going to be our companion for the game. He doesn't do much. We'll get there soon, though. All right, so here Ezlo joins us. Apparently, it can help us, so he's just going to sit on our head for a while. He also gives us the ability to shrink, which is useful. It's one of the game's main gimmicks, so we'll be seeing that pretty shortly. What's up? It is. Important things are being discussed in the background. They cannot hear you guys, don't worry. I hope. It's actually possible to make that cycle. It's never been done in a run before, but it has been done in RTA. Before it was the task cycle only, but one person was able to do it once. It's pretty cool. All right, so we're in Minish Village. Basically, we're going to get here, and we're not going to be able to understand anybody, so we're going to need to go on a bit of a fetch quest. There's only one person that understands, well, I guess Japanese in this case, but English in the English version. So we're going to go find this lad. All right, that was the lad. So this game really loves its fetch quests. We're going to be skipping a few of them later in the game, but for now we do need to get the Jabbernout right here. All right. And this is the Elder. He's just going to let us know where the 4 elements are, which is it's half the quest right there. And the first one's actually right here in Minish Village, so we'll be picking that one up pretty shortly. What's up? One sec. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, thank you. I'm here all week. Alright, so we're in Deepwood Shrines. It's the first dungeon. It mostly acts as a tutorial dungeon. So we'll see just like basic movement and mechanics here. Just pressing on switches and pushing statues and stuff like that. Ezlo's going to explain a lot of stuff here. One thing that I don't want to do is whenever Ezlo talks is I don't want to roll into that trigger because it actually takes about a second longer to activate, and that's slow. And yeah, here I'll be abusing a lot, mostly rolling through enemies. That damage boost was intended. All right. So yeah, there are a few small time savers in this dungeon. Mostly just, for example, when you're pulling the mushrooms, pulling them the least amount of time because Link's pulling animation is obviously really slow. Not killing that pesto is actually pretty nice. Usually he gets in the way. Oops, this one. When's RuneScape? You missed RuneScape. I'm sorry. RuneScape happened. It was a great run. All right, so our next big goal, I guess, is to get. Oops, nice. Next big goal is to get the item for this dungeon, which is the Gust Jar. We'll be getting that shortly in a few rooms. But first we do need another small key, so we'll be getting that soon. Not falling in the water is actually a lot harder than it makes seem. I like to think I'm good at this game, but I also fall in the water half the time, so there's that. Alright, little fight here. We can stun these guys into walls, not just we can destroy them pretty fast like that. Oops, this guy's not pinging. Cooperating though, but that was still fine. Alright, I've been messing this up recently, so hopefully it works. But you can roll through this guy. Nice. Alright, so this is the Matter Pillar. If I don't mess up anything, this should be a 2-cycle, which is pretty easy to get when he starts cooperating. You know what? A slow 2-cycle is still a 2-cycle. Nice, nice. I'm actually almost dead. Okay, this is going to be a 3-cycle. I did my best to not die here, though, so I feel like that's warranted. Dying is counterproductive to my longevity here. That's fine. We can get a heart rate here, though. All right. We're good. Not a thing to worry about. If I die in this run, it's probably intended, unless it's not. Small speed trick there. I also did that right before, but cancel the ending of the Gust Jar animation with either falling or the Ezlo trigger. Saves a bit of time. That's nice. Nice. Okay. All right, so the lily pad sections are a bit rough, but nice. We don't see them too often. Mostly because gust drive mechanics are really shitty, but you do what you gotta do. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're fine. Nice. Oh, someone's car alarm's on. Oh, is it my car actually? Okay, good. It's not my car. We're good. Is it a green Altima? Can you check that real quick? We might have to stop the run for a sec. Maybe? If you're the owner of a white Honda. It's not my car, don't worry guys. The run continues. Or else it would have been boiling for 2 hours and I don't think the hotel would have appreciated that. What am I doing? Alright, so this is Big Green Choo Choo. He's actually a regular size, we're just very small. So yeah, we can't just slash him twice, as we would if we're big. Cool. So basically what we have to do is use the Gust Jar on the base, and then just wait till he falls and then attack him like that. You can't hear the couch, but Two Worlds is saying, "What's up, Dayflower?" Yeah, so this boss's patterns are pretty much set. There's one of two things. Oh, I actually got hit. Holy shit. We're actually going to do that just to be safe. Because I really don't want to die. It's counterproductive to my longevity. Anyways, as I was saying, he has a few cycles, which are relatively easy. If he's down, you can actually hit him between 5 and 9 times. But it doesn't matter how many times you hit him, as long as you hit him at least 4 times. So we actually want him down for the least amount of time. That was actually pretty bad luck, but it's whatever. It's nothing more than a few seconds. Alright, and we have the first element. How are you getting that crazy fast sword? Good question. So you actually don't need to slash the sword completely before you do another sword slash. If you slash the sword while the sword is slashing, you'll just restart the animation. So as long as you just mash B, you just mash the sword really fast. It's not super useful in most cases because enemies do have invincibility after you hit them for a little bit. But it is useful to like hit them on the first frame that they'll stop being invincible, since the sword's hitbox is active pretty much all the time when it's out. How many hearts do you need? As long as I don't die when I don't need to, then none. 2D Zelda games are pretty rough as far as health goes, though. Especially late game when enemies start doing like 1 heart of damage. Or like the darkness at the end do like 2.5 hearts of damage. So if I get hit by that and I only have 3 hearts, it's not a good time. But yeah, optimally, you would not need any heart containers, but no one that runs this game without picking up heart containers because you would die a lot, basically. Nice. Especially if you do shit like that. Alright, so we're going to get the Kinstone bag. We actually need the Kinstone bag, but we don't need to fuse with this guy. So there's a little cutscene skip that once we do get the Kinstone bag, we can just save and quit out of there, and that skips the animation of us fusing with him. We did it. That car alarm's still going strong. All right, so we do need the spin attack to beat the game. So we're collecting it here, but we also need it for to leave this area, which is convenient. There are 8 sword techniques, I believe, and then I think 4 like special ones that aren't really techniques, but you learned them from the swordsman. We only need the spin attack, so in any percent we only get the spin attack. There was actually a route difference, thinking of getting Pop Breaker, but it ended up being slower, so. Alright, so sometimes when I drop a bomb, depending on where I am, I'll try to do a glitch called a roll lift, so I actually missed it there. So basically, if I manage to roll on a specific frame after I drop a bomb, it's going to bounce up in the air and explode like a second and a half faster. So that saves a second and a half, which is nice. So I'll try to do it here and there. If I ever get it, again, it is frame perfect in a 60 frame per second game. But if I do get it, I will point it out. Because it's pretty cool. Alright, so we got the 20 rupees at the beginning for the bottle that we just got. We'll need a few more by the time we hit end game just to get 2 more items. Nice. 2 more items in the run. Also, the reason I was taking a lot of damage earlier is because I knew that Fairy Phantom was coming. But for the most part, I'll be avoiding damage. And here, later in this part of the run, there are attacks that do half a heart damage, and we don't have that many hearts, so I want to try to avoid those as much as possible. These cutscenes you can actually skip, but you necessarily need to watch the first one. So we saw the we saw the stump one, and we found the rock one. So now from now on we can skip these cutscenes of shrinking. What's my favorite skip? Ooh, that's a good question. I think the one in Temple of Droplets. There are 2 in Temple of Droplets, actually. Actually, no, I'm going to say Bracelet skip. So basically, there's a trick in the 5th dungeon that lets you skip a huge chunk of the dungeon. It's really cool. And who found it was... It was a combination of a few people. Tompa found the way to do the glitch, and then Yadra, who's a 4 Stars Adventure runner and taster, she found a way to do it more or less consistently. And there was also help from a few other people, but it is the coolest one in my opinion. I meant to say stump. Like tree stump. Oops, wow. Nice. Alright, so Link is really tiny, but he can still pick up the bean, which is nice because we need it to move. Awesome. And if these pestos get in the way, you can actually throw the bean at them and it kills them, which is nice because at this point you don't have the sword equipped. Not that it's the biggest time loss, but it's still nice that the bean does that. Anything that you can throw, so like pots or skulls or bombs, does like 10 damage or something. And right now our sword does 2, I believe. I don't know the exact calculations, it's not that important. But yeah, throwing objects does a hell of a lot of damage, which is cool. Alright, little trick here. That was actually found like literally when the game came out, which is cool. It is the oldest trick in the run. Literally. Rip. Get rid of you. And getting rid of enemies means that they don't come back later, unless you save and quit or leave the area. So sometimes I will opt to kill enemies just for my convenience, but rarely is it required. Alright, so this is Chrono Wall coming up. So there are random boulders, and if they hit you, that's half a heart of damage. You can get hit anywhere between 0 and like 4 times, I think is the max that I've gotten hit. So I really don't want to take 2 hearts of damage right now. And you don't really move fast enough to be able to dodge them. So if you get hit, you just need to like sort of let it happen, and it sort of sucks. Looks like I'm getting pretty lucky though, so that's nice. If I can get out without getting hit, we're pretty much set for the rest of the section. As I say that, we take a hit. That's fine. At this point in the game, though, everything pretty much does a quarter heart of damage, rather. So we're pretty safe still. The wall of meatballs. You heard it here first. Oops. The mushroom skip actually skips a small area where you need to blow up a bomb cave and then go through that a bit. Might be intentional. I don't know. My uncle who works at Nintendo has stopped talking to me recently, so I can't ask him. So I generally don't like the second half of this part, because there's a lot of rock and block pushing puzzles, which are not entirely thrilling, but they gotta get done, because can't really go past them. You don't have to worry about Rain in the little tunnel, because he just walks through all the rain. I did get hit though, so I shouldn't say that. I don't have an answer for you. This game doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. Need this. Nice. Alright, last rock pushing puzzle for a little bit. And then we'll be on our way. Nice. Okay, so we're in the mines. This is where the Minish blacksmith is going to fix the force sword. Or, well, not yet anyways, but... yeah, so they're going to work on that while we go explore the nearby dungeon and get the second element, so... we'll be back here shortly. Alright, so we're in Cave of Flames, second dungeon. This one has a bit more going on than the first one, but no major skips to speak of just yet. That'll come in the next dungeon. Alright. Yeah, so the main mechanic of this dungeon is the minecarts, which are significantly improved from the ones in the Oracle games. And there's a few puzzles involving them, but nothing too difficult. We'll get to those soon. Alright, boot this guy for later, because we don't want him to get in our way. Come on. Move, move. There we go. Ah, heck. Okay. Okay, not a great room. That was still fine. The helmet stores, you can remove their mask with the gust jar. On that first one that I did for the first enemy, you can actually get 3 of them to remove their masks. And then that fight goes really fast, but didn't get good luck on that. Alright, so there's actually a trick right here. No other runner goes for this one, and it comes from the task, so you can just like roll through the enemies, or roll through the fire there. Take a bit of damage, but it's fast. I like to think it's task only because only me and the task do it, which makes me arguably the best runner in this game. Please. Alright, so we're getting our first small key in the chest coming up, and then we'll tackle the second part of the dungeon. Alright, so there's a mini boss fight coming up. Hopefully I do it properly. But if you do it properly, it looks really cool, so we'll get that done. Oh, alright, I messed it up. This is so unfortunate. You get the general idea. That guy was supposed to die. Yeah, that was still pretty good, though. I'll take it. Alright, so the second dungeon item we get is the Kinapachi. It lets us flip things over. That's all it does. It's useful in a few places, but yeah, it's useful, I guess. As you saw earlier, you can also put it into holes, and that's going to make Link jump up pretty high. So that's also used in a few places. We do technically need this item to beat the game. Or to beat the final boss, rather. You can actually make it past that third one without getting hit. My health's actually a bit of a problem here. We're going to take a bit of damage to skip these guys. It should be fine. I can get health pretty soon, so it's not a huge problem, but we'll see. Nice. Okay, dungeon's almost over. I'm gonna be picking up a few treasure chests here. We'll be using these kinstones to fuse later in the game for an item. No spoilers which one though. Thank you. Alright, a little platform cycle skip here. We can just walk across that pretty easily. Saves a bit of time. Alright, so this next room coming up, rather. It seems pretty simple, but there's actually a platform cycle that I'm going to be trying to make. And it's actually pretty tight to make, so hopefully I don't screw anything up. Luckily, it's pretty easy as far as rooms go. That the chances of screwing something up are small, but we still do need to get 2 treasure chests for rupees and another kinstone. Alright, we should be good. Nothing went drastically wrong. Nice. Alright, get this for insurance. It's totally not foreshadowing anything. Alright, so this is Gleerock, who's the second boss here. He's relatively simple. We just need to use the cane on his back and then slash the gem in the middle of his back. Oh, come on. Oh, nice. This is going great already. If I die here, that's actually really bad. So, let's not do that. I did just get a fairy, though. I guess that's okay. Fuck. Alright, so there can be hearts that drop from the fire that he spews out. So we'll see if I can get anything from that. Nice. Okay, we should be good then. Alright, we're fine. If you look on the walls here, there's a really weird pattern. I'm not too sure what it is, but it's cool. If anyone in chat can help me, that'd be appreciated. Oh, nice. Should not have been worried about hearts at all. It's choo-choo. Alright, sub 45 element is acceptable. Alright, so you can actually forget the sword here. And if you do, you're going to have a great time scaling down the mountain, going back to the castle and into the sanctuary, and then realizing that you need to climb all the mountain again to get this sword. It doesn't tell you to pick up the sword or anything. It's just, we hope you remembered from before you did the dungeon. A few people have done that on the first run where they have to go back and get it. So it's one of those mistakes you only do once. Anyways, we're going back to the castle. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get there. For now, though, it's just scaling the mountain down. Alright, so I'm going to activate a second wind crest right here. I activated one after the first dungeon, which we'll be using later after we get the ocarina that lets us teleport places. And then we also need this one just for convenience's sake. Alright, so basically the Elder back in Minish Woods told us to go fuse the sword with the elements. So that's what we're doing right now. We're gonna fuse the newly refurbished, I guess, sword from the blacksmith with the 2 elements that we got. That's gonna give us the white sword with 2 elements. And what that's gonna let us do is it's gonna let us make clones, or 1 clone right now, but 2 and 3 clones later. And that's gonna be used for a few puzzles and stuff. Also useful for fights. The clones can't do anything other than push blocks, step on switches, and slash swords. But that's pretty much all you need them to do anyways, so it's fine. They can't use any other items other than the sword. Alright, so good example of what they're useful basically is just for stepping on switches and stuff like that, but yeah, we'll be using clones a lot later. It's one of the game's main mechanics. We'll get there soon. Alright, a bit of plot points. Very important here, look at the clouds. Cool. It actually changes scenes to a different map entirely, and it just forgets to re-add in the clouds, I guess. But anyways, there's a bit of lore backstory here where Vadi basically sends you and fights these 2 enemies. There are many ways to do this fight. I'm actually doing the slowest way, which is still ridiculously fast, so it's nice. And then another cutscene here, and this explains Ezlo's how Ezlo became a hat and Vadi's origin story. A lot of people compliment the art style of this game, but if you start looking into it too much, the carpets make no sense and there's light coming out from both windows. So it still has a few bugs that need ironing out per se. That is true, but it wouldn't be as strong as the sunlight coming from the other side. Okay, that's fair. I did not consider these things. No one can still explain the carpets, though. That's just stupid. Oops. Oops. Alright, so those moblins, actually, if they hit you with the spear, do 1 heart of damage, and we only have 5 hearts, which is not a lot, so we're going to try to avoid those. as much as possible. All right, last cutscene for a while, thankfully. Oops. So Vadi brutally murders the king, and he takes his place. It's a rough time to be a king. And basically, Vadi, as the king, tells the guards that we can't, or no one rather, can enter the castle. Which won't stop us later, but it'll be a slight inconvenience. Shout out to Traz. Reading that sign is important because it activates the next side quest, which is getting the Pegasus boots, which is thankfully going to replace rolling. Almost. Alright, so this is the last of the shrinking cutscene that we need to see. After this, we'll be skipping all of them. Alright, so these Minish send you on a fetch quest to go get another item, which is the last item we'll be buying, which is the Wake Up Mushroom. No points for guessing what that does. I missed it. Alright, so these guys have locked the key into the house somehow. It's actually possible to get that key really early in the game before you even get Eslo, but it doesn't actually do anything. You can't give it to anybody to open the cabin early. So it's not very useful. If we do it, it would actually lose a minute. I swear if that's going to hit me once the cutscene ends, I'll be slightly mad. That's very unfortunate. Alright, so there are a lot of overworld sections in this game. After the 4th dungeon, it's basically just going to be dungeon, final boss. So we will be cutting out a few parts later in the game with skips. And also we're cutting out a lot of overworld parts, or not cutting out, but slightly doing unintended things. But again, we will cross that when we get there. Alright, so that's the last time we need to spend rupees, so anything I get from here on out is basically useless. There's actually some things in play with rupees. It does affect the RNG manipulations that we do, but all of them do consider that we have 40 rupees at this point, which we should. Or at the very least 10. There's a different route that can be used as well. But either case, as long as you have more than 10, it's fine. Oops. Alright, so we got the Pegasus boots. They let us go fast. Lol. Oh. Thank you. I made a good joke. I made an absolute zinger. So we will still be rolling once in a while. Pegasus boots are only faster if you need to roll 3 times or less, just because they do have a bit of a startup before they actually get moving. But they'll be used for movements and in a few fights as well. Creatively. Alright, so this guy can't hit you if, well, this is a Darknut first of all, which we'll be fighting them every once in a while. He can't hit you if you're in the air from the boots collision, so we just use that to get behind him like that. And he actually has 2 attacks, which he did both of them. If he does the charging attack, that's actually a lot faster, but not by much, not significantly enough. Why am I a god? I have one simple trick for you. It is practice. I played this game way too much. That's the secret. Alright. So I need the Gust Jar. So one really weird mechanic, I didn't explore it earlier, but if you actually shoot the Gust Jar perpendicularly, Link gets a boost in that, or the direction that he's going. So we do abuse that when we can. Oops. And these guys do half a heart damage, so I sort of want to be a little careful here. Took a heart, but that's fine. Oops. Thanks. I try to be cute when I can. Alright, so there's actually another manipulation here. Hopefully we do it right. We need this, and we need this. Nice. Alright, first try. None of them... Oh, no, that's a lie. Most of the manipulations aren't too hard. That one's pretty easy. There's a bit of timing to it. We just need to wait for the right windows when to slash the swords and launch the spin attacks. Alright, these guys suck, but thankfully we can just roll through them, and it makes them ridiculously easy. Thank you, thank you. I did a thing. Oh, we'll be seeing plenty of running on water. Alright, so the goal of this section is just to get 3 golden kinstones rather. And that's to fuse with 3 stashes at the end that are going to open a path. So it's just another little overworld section that we can skip actually if we have the Ocarina of Winds. The problem is the Ocarina of Winds is what we're getting by going through this part, so it doesn't really help us much. Oops. And I don't need any more wind for the warp. I don't need any more wind crests. So the rest that we'll see, we just don't open. Thanks. I try. Alright, last little section before the next... Wait, what? I'm not sure if we're talking to me or not. Ah, damn. I'm being baited out here. Ah, I got you. Alright, so last little section before the next dungeon. We're just in the Wind Ruins. And it's another small overworld section. But it will be the last one for a while. This one's actually pretty technical, thankfully. Just with movement and all that. There's also a few cool little fights. Hello, Shuli. I could have got him before the jump. Alright, so we're actually going to cut ourselves a little path, and not just, we're going to kill this guy. Well, that just avoids us doing a long trip around around the entire thing and having to deal with all the rope snakes around here. Oops. Oh, he dropped a heart. Oh my. Okay. Nice. Okay, we're in the third dungeon. This features the first major skip of the game, so we'll be seeing that in a few minutes. But before that, we do need a small key. So we'll be getting that shortly. Alright, there's a strat here. I practiced it for a while, but if you do it wrong, you fall down the hole and lose like 45 seconds. And I'm not confident enough to do it yet. I'll work on that for next time. My experience is I'm more likely to fall in the hole than not. Anyways, because this game is well programmed, you can actually hit the buttons when you're not completely aligned with them. But only going from left to right, because going from right to left does not work. Alright, so there's actually 2 keys in the first section of the dungeon. We only need to go one. There's a forking path later, or a branching path. But we'll only need to go on the left side. And this key's a little faster to get, so we'll ignore the next ones. Alright, so we have another Darknet fight here. It's nothing too complex, but based on what he does, I can actually save a pause, which unfortunately he did the slower attack. Need to waste a pause later. It's tragic. So I don't want to take too much damage here because there's another damage boost glitch coming up. We'll get there soon though. Okay. Alright, so we have the moments. The moments are used to dig through the sandy dirt blocks that we see around. Which is useful, but they're also useful coming up in a section, which we'll see soon. We need that one too. Alright, so there's a trick there's a trick here. We can actually use items on portal. So by placing a bomb, we use the moments like this, and if we're good with our timing, we're not, we can actually boost up on top of the portal, or on top of the wall rather. Oh, that was way too late. Okay, there we go. Third try's not bad. Thank you, thank you. So yeah, that skips the entire second half of the dungeon, which is really convenient for us. Oh crap. And we're right at the boss. This. Alright, this boss is pretty self-explanatory. Hit his eyes in his hand, and then hit the eye in his head. and then just do that 3 times. The pillars inside him are random. So the first one, it can be any 6, but on the next phases, it can't be the pillar that was the phase before. So now I know on the second phase, it's not going to be the back left one. Also, because this game is pretty cool, the boss can't actually hurt you if you're hurting him. So even though the hand clearly fell onto me, I didn't take damage because I was attacking the boss. Which I'm okay with. Alright, there we go. Oh boy. Nice. Alright, so killing both those hands at the same time does save a bit of time, and it looks cool. So we go for it. Alright, and we're at the front here. Not bad. Yeah, a bit of bad luck on the boss, but nothing tragic, so we'll take it. Yo, what's up, CC? Alright, so we got the Ocarina Winds. This item is going to help us do a lot of stuff. Mostly warp around, but also... Well, we'll talk about that later. It's one of the main items that we'll be using... yes, that we'll be using to abuse mechanics in this game. Alright, Tingle's made it into the run. Thankfully. This run's not bad. I'm probably like 30 seconds behind my PB, which is completely fine for me. Bongo Bongo is dead. Alright, I'm actually going to be doing a different route here, which is, it'll be a bit different. I will need the boots, though. Okay, so the reason we're fusing with Tingle and his brothers is because we need an item that they give us, which is the magical boomerang. It's not super useful. It can stun enemies and hit switches, and that's about it. But we can use it for a glitch later in the run. So that's exactly what we'll be doing. So the alternative to doing this quest would be doing the book quest, which, if you've played this game, is a bit of a daunting quest. So thankfully we skipped the book quest, because we used to do it back in the day. But yeah, now we just have to fuse kinstones, which is a lot less tedious than the book quest was. Oops, there we go. Alright, so this guy activates a warp that we'll be using later. Just keep this part in mind. When I say remember that time we activated the warp, this is the time that you need to remember. And we'll be fusing with the last single brother here, then just going straight to the boomerang. We didn't have to fuse in the sanctuary with the sword because we didn't get an element. But every other dungeon after this we will. So, oops, that's not what I want to do. Nope, it's Tingle and his 3 brothers. Their names are Tingle, Ankle, Knuckle, and David Jr. Ah, nice. What's the most food you can get from a fast food place for $5? Ooh, I might qualify to answer this question. I'd say probably like a value meal at McDonald's or something, Wendy's. Oh, actually, I forgot to do something, which was take damage. I will do that later. That's true. Water is pretty cheap. But not food, I assume. Depends where you live. That's fair. Ice is technically also solid. $5 worth of ice is your go-to. Alright, so we got the magical boomerang. We'll be using that momentarily. But for now, I do need to take a lot of damage. That's good enough. I also need to remember to save here. Okay, I need bombs. So there are going to be 2 frame perfect tricks in a row. If I mess up either of them and I don't save, the run's dead. So this is the first one. I'll be trying to open the door. I'm using a specific setup, which makes it pretty consistent. So that was that. And now I'm going to need to do what's called the ocarina glitch, which I got first try. And this is going to basically let me walk above water. So this just skips getting the flippers, which is what we would have needed the books quest for. So that was actually really nice. You may clap if you want. You don't have to. I'd prefer if you would, though. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. I'm really good at this game. Oops. Alright, so one pretty cool mechanic about ice is that if you're running on it with the boots, you don't slip. We'll see in a bit how ice actually affects Link, which is pretty shitty in this game, but we managed. There's only a few ice sections anyways, or only a few ice sections that we don't actually run on. Alright, so I didn't really explain it earlier because I didn't have the chance, but the ocarina glitch is basically when you use the ocarina entering a staircase. It is frame perfect, and this is a 60 frame per second game, so I'm actually getting them really nicely right now. But it lets us walk above voids, which as you're seeing right now, and also lets us, if we go up these kinds of stairs, it changes our Z value. So basically we're on the second layer right now, and we can actually just go over and skip a small key right there, which we'll actually be getting later, but we'll be using it somewhere else. Alright, so we do need the boss key. CC, if you would be a deer, please link the video. Alright, so we're going to go back and get the small key that we should have gotten earlier, because we will be using it later. Oops. Please, please. Oh, rip. We'll fix that soon. Alright. So yeah, if you play the ocarina too early, or you're just going to play it in front of you like I just did like that. If you play it too late, you're actually going to go down the stairs, and then you'll have to go back up, and that wastes a lot of time. Anyways, this is the glitch that involves the magical boomerang. We can actually just go through the boss door without having to, or without hitting the loading zone, rather. And then using a specific setup, which involves subpixels, I can actually just go over this door and get into this room, which is significantly later in the dungeon. So that was pretty good. And thankfully, we do have the magical boomerang, which stuns enemies, because these guys are a bitch and a half to deal with. And that was nice. Ah, let's take that. Shoutouts to Thanamir. I expect a sub for that shoutout, by the way. Damn, one singular shoutout. But that's like at least 10 bits, so like you know what to do. Alright, so the goal of this dungeon is to basically hit both the levers, and that's going to unlock, or unfreeze rather, the boss. So we're actually going to go ahead and hit the second lever right now. Nice, with another Ocarina glitch. Alright, this skip is nice because it skips about 3/3 of the dungeon. Shoutouts to Toeswood. The reason we sort of go so left then up then right is because when we're in the room with the waterfall, if we go up, it actually puts us on a different floor. Just because the way the dungeon layout works, it really doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. We need this. All right. So we unfreeze the element, and then the boss is going to unfreeze, and the boss is going to eat up the element, so we can't get to it. We need to fight the boss, but we don't quite have the dungeon item yet, so we're going to need to get that first. Just the way the route works out, this is actually about 8 seconds faster compared to what we used to do, because there was a recent route change, which I will be explaining soon. Yo, nice. I need to open a picture on my phone though, but that'll come soon. There's an Ezlo trigger here. Ezlo explains that the element is encased in ice, and the boss is as well, which is a bit late for the count. Alright, so we're at the mini-boss. It's basically they're basically rehashing the boss of the first dungeon, which is Big Green Choo-Choo, but this time he's blue and electric. And basically you just can't use the Gust Jar when he is electric. But the rest of the fight is the same. Also, I know when he's going to jump because he's going to stop for a long period of time, so this time he's not going to jump. Shit, so now he's going to jump. That just helps with timing some things. Nothing critical, though. Also, I didn't explain this before, but making him in the middle of the room, or making him... Yeah, attacking him when he is in the middle of the room, like on the horizontal, actually makes him sway the first time a lot faster. So I try to keep him in the middle most of the time, but also keeping Link in the middle. And I did explain this before, but enemies can't hurt you if you're hurting them. So by just slashing my sword while I'm under him, nice. By just like slashing my sword while I'm under him, he's gonna fall onto my sword and then just not be able to hurt me, because that's how this game works. All right, spin attack there saves a second. Okay. So this is the most recent discovery, actually. So this boss has 3 phases, much like every other boss in this game. Basically, his first phase, he always shoots rocks. The second phase, he'll do 1 attack, shoot a rock, do an attack, shoot 2 rocks. And then the third phase is completely random. And if you get unlucky, you can lose like up to a minute on the third phase if he does a specific attack up to 2 times. But there's actually recently been a manipulation found. So I'm going to be trying to do that. I did equip over the wrong item. I might have actually screwed it up. We'll see how it goes. Okay, actually looks good. Okay, crap. I messed it up. I was supposed to roll twice there, but I was looking too closely at which cycle it actually was, because there are 2 that are similar. Alright. If you do nothing on this one, though, it's actually a tiny bit slower, thankfully. So it's not that big a loss. He just charges once, but he doesn't do the ink attack, which wastes like 25 to 30 seconds. So that was still pretty good. We'll pretend that was intentional. Thank you, thank you. I'm really good at this game. Yeah, that was still a good boss fight. So yeah, the entire dungeon reroute that I explained earlier about getting the 2 levers and then the lantern and then the save and quit is because you want to save and quit before the boss. I'm actually not sure, Atomic Mouse. I'm not sure if like other enemies can hurt you while you're hurting an enemy. I'd have to look into that. But the important part is you don't get hit if you're hitting the enemy, which is nice. Yeah, this one is actually really good. So, although can't speak too soon. Alright, so the guards have been instructed to guard the palace, so we need to go through the gardens, which is... it's actually different on the North American version. The guards have better vision and move faster, but on the European and Japanese versions, they're literally free. Their vision is not the best. USA. Alright, so we did just get an element, so we're going to fuse that, and then we're going to head straight to the next dungeon. Oops. Alright, so now with 3 elements fused, we can make 2 clones for a total of 3 copies of Link. Not much changes from 2 clones. Basically, we can push bigger blocks and hit 3 switches at once instead of 2. Which we'll be seeing all of that soon. Yeah, so since you have the 3 elements, you're forced to do 3 clones. You can't cut it off at 2. And once you have the 4 elements, you can't cut it off at... oops. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, we're just going from here. That was some intense menuing mistakes. But yeah, once you have a certain number of elements, you can't do less clones than that. For whatever reason. Alright, so this is the warp that I said don't forget that I fused earlier, because it's important. Basically, it lets us skip the entirety of the graveyard section and Vale Falls and Cloud Tops, which would have been the last overworld section of the game. So we can just use the Ocarina glitch to walk past the guards, or the sky people here. And yeah, that skips like 25 minutes of gameplay, which is nice. And I believe I need a fairy. It would be very tragic if I forgot that. So the boomerang is also useful here. Lets us hit switches and do a few cool strats like that one. Oh, nice. Fine. There we go. Okay. Cloudtops does have the best music. This is true. Oops. Get out of here. Sorry? In most cases, yes. I'm not sure if they can hear you, but it was asked if earlier dungeons have 4 spots to clone on. The ones that do generally do, yes. There's one case that I can think of that doesn't, and that's actually in the part that we're skipping. In the graveyard, you can actually only do it with 3 clones. So if you don't get to the graveyard, you actually just can't do it after you've used the 4 sword. That'd be interesting, maybe. It's like for a random... That'd actually be interesting. I'm not sure. It's something to consider. Yeah, I guess in randomizer, you could technically get locked out of doing that. Like this. Oops, nice. Okay. Good movement. Alright, so I've been taking a lot of damage here. That's actually intentional, because we're going to be abusing a death. Which is also why I got the fairy. Okay. So normally in runs, we're not going to use save states, but I will right now. So keep this in mind when I submit this to the leaderboards. The reason is, I want to show off a trick here, but it's... Rather, you need to use the Ocarina glitch. Hold that thought. So you need to use the Ocarina glitch, but you need to activate it off of a cutscene. Now this isn't like staircases where you can just retry however many times you want. You actually necessarily... Oh my god. You actually necessarily need to do it on the first try. And if you don't do it on the first try, you lose a lot of time. So this time, I'm really happy that I did... Okay. I'm really happy that I did the save state before the fight. Okay. I missed it. It is frame perfect, and there's no setup, as you can see. I have a visual cue, so that actually is it. So everything's frozen. And that dropped a heart, that's nice. Still be getting a heart here. So we have the Ocarina glitch activated. And then there's a whole route, nice, to do the bracelet skip. So I didn't get it during the magical boomerang quest, and that saves about 2 minutes. And then this dungeon reroute loses a bit of time, but overall saves still 2 minutes. So we're gonna come here. This is on the 3DS, but only if you got the ambassador version, which is not easy to get. But if you hack your 3DS, you can actually get it relatively easily. Anyways, by using a bit of creative movement, we can actually get this key, which we're not going to be using later. We can get it early. And that lets us skip a key that would normally require the power bracelets. And then we just need to make our way back and continue the dungeon. There's actually a lot of places where you can soft lock here, so I just do need to be careful here. But we were fine. Nothing bad happened. So that was bracelet skip. Hope y'all enjoy. Sorry? Yeah, if you're running with the Pegasus boots and you're holding either left or right, let's say when you're going up, you can actually just bounce off of nothing, which is cool. It's a mechanic in this game that I don't know why it's there. Which is actually really bad because in the first room that you activate the Ocarina glitch, if you bonk on something, you soft lock the game. So if you're like running to a door and you're holding a direction, you soft lock the game. You need to restart, which is rough. Alright, one more auto-scroller section and then we'll be heading off. It's actually used to be one of the longest dungeons, but with the skip that we'll be doing later, it's actually one of the shortest now, which is nice. And this is where we need the key that we just got. So normally we would head to the right and do a little pot pushing puzzle with the power bracelets, but we don't need to do that. There should be audio. I hope there's audio. Yeah, that's true. I guess I didn't explain this, and it's a bit late now, but you can actually just jump off of the clouds early, and that lets you skip a few clouds, which is nice. Oops. Oh, please. Oh, nice. So I actually got the Arcane Glitch again first try. That's actually going to let me skip a few other parts of the dungeon. That one's... It's the exact same thing, this one saves 30 seconds instead of like 2 minutes. So if you miss this one, you don't lose any time, basically. Sorry, didn't want to do that on the microphone. So anyways, we can just walk above voids. Yeah, and get this key early. And we'll take a little damage here, that's fine. Alright, so we're actually going to do the same trick that we did in Temple of Droplets. We are going to go through this boss door without touching the loading zone with the magical boomerang. And that just lets us walk above the dungeon and basically straight to the boss, which skips a very long portion of this dungeon. And here we are. Oh. If you pause frame perfectly there's a glitch where the audio goes on for longer, the dungeon audio. So it actually doesn't matter what Georg's eyes, which cycle they decide to do. They can do one of 4 different cycles. But as long as you split yourself with 2 on one side and 1 on the far side, you can actually just hit every single pattern easily. And we're just going to keep our clones by dodging the balls here. We can actually do these in 2 cycles without having to redo clones, which saves a bit of time too. If your clones get hit by anything, they have like a quarter heart, I guess. If one of them gets hit by anything, you lose all of them, which so I do try to avoid that. And also if the main link gets hit by anything, all the clones disappear. Oops. Oh, wow. Okay, so they touched the eyes there. Or did I run out of time? No, I wouldn't have run out of time. That's fine. Alright, and that's Georg. So that's the 5th dungeon. We now have all 4 elements, so we'll be going and fighting the final boss. I don't know if 130 is good. I should know this, but I don't. We'll know later. Oops. So for some reason on the European version, this bird won't show up if you play the ocarina. So if you did what I did to get here, you would actually just soft lock yourself from the game. You can't get out of there because you can't go down because there are still people blocking, and you can't get out of there with the bird. So, oops. I guess you do need to do this thing again before I get caught. Cool. I was not paying attention there. All right, that's fine. I've had worse mistakes. Oops. Alright, so this is about a minute cutscene, so now's a good time to stretch your legs if you want to. Oops, wow. Oh my. Good menuing. "20 squats, chat. You guys go. I'll watch." Time to shout you out again. Nah, you didn't give 10 bits. Is it acceptable to post a link in chat? Someone's trying to, they can, basically. Sweet. We will get you guys that link later. Oh, no. All right. That's fair. That's fair. That's understandable. These are fingerless gloves. I have the bones of an 80-year-old man. Yeah, they're compression gloves, which for this game actually surprisingly is pretty intensive on the hands, but they're nice.
Aside from sword mashing, is there anything that's particularly...
I mean, text mashing is pretty rough since you do need to spin the stick, and that's an awkward movement sometimes. And then rolling, I guess, is the other thing, but nothing particularly bad, I guess. I'm just a wimp. We'll put it that way. I earned 7 Cs. Yikes. Alright, so Dark Arrow Castle's coming up. It's one of the more technical dungeons. There's a lot of tricks to nail, so hopefully I'll get to show most of them off first try. The first trick's called Cutscene Walking. So I can actually activate Ezla while I unfreeze the mayor right there. And that lets me walk around while he's unfreezing, and then I get to unfreeze the second guy, and then the third. So that saves about 7 seconds since you can walk through all of that. Nice. I'm really on point with those today. Alright, so this ocarina glitch is going to let me clip through a wall, almost. We're actually going to get stuck, but we can just use the cape to jump out of it. There we go. And that skips a huge part of the dungeon, which is nice. We're going to leave. That sets up save wart for later. So instead of ending up at the start of the sanctuary, we just end up here instead, which will cut out obviously a bit of time. Okay. Nice. Alright, that trick's pretty hard, but it looks cool. And saves a bit of time as well. There's actually also an Eslo trigger in that room, so that's I will need to worry about later to not hit it when we come back here. Okay, we're good. Ah, fuck. Alright. So the reason we start charging early is because this trap will get in the way. So we do want to reset the cycle here. I want this and this. NASA will be posting the VODs. Check out their YouTube channel, which the link I don't have on hand right now. Go to nasamarathon.com and there will be a link. There you go. You heard it here first, guys. That was a really sketchy ocarina glitch, but that's okay. As long as it works. Oops, nice. Well, that was useful because... Oh my. Okay, did something wrong there, I guess. Anyways, we get the ocarina glitch, and again, by going upstairs, it lets us just walk. Nice. I'm just bonking everywhere. Lets us just walk above a lot of stuff. So we're actually going to be collecting a few keys here to get to the final boss, because the last key's behind 4 little key blocks. Alright, so we'll be doing that exact ocarina glitch again, but this time we'll be one to the right instead of the left. And then from there we'll finish up the dungeon pretty fast. What am I doing? Wow. Disregard that. That would have been first try if I wasn't a dumbass. Alright, so third key, we'll be getting one more, and we'll also be doing the last ocarina glitch right here. So if I get this one first try, I'll be... Oops, that's good. I'll be pretty happy. I cursed myself, didn't I? There we go. Alright, the reason we need it here is because we need to jump over this door. Because doors are only opened from one side, depending on circumstances, since we are doing this dungeon a bit out of order. But that's still pretty good. Alright, that was a good fight. So we still have the ocarina glitch activated, so we can just walk over voids and place the bomb right here. So one specification, I guess, is you can go upstairs pretty easily, but you can't go down that easily. So necessarily, after we jump on those grates, we do need to roll and then land on the moving platform. So sometimes, depending on the cycle, it can be a bit off. We're just going to grab health here. But yeah, that was fine on my part. And if we're good, we can stun lock this guy, and that was an easy fight. The game's going to throw us a bunch of dark nuts for the ending. Luckily, we only need to fight 2 of them, and then 3 later. We just need 1 more key after all. Please. Alright. That's okay. Ooh, a heart. Okay. I tried to do that faster. You can't actually speed it up by getting hit by the fire, but I messed it up a bit too much for it to be faster. But it wasn't slower, and that's the important part. All right, so there's a pretty big manipulation. So I'll try to do it without messing up. I already messed it up. We're going to try again since that was pretty early. Those flame struts are stolen right from the toss. Shadows to hinder. Oops. Alright. So I didn't mention this earlier, I think, but things that change RNG are rolling, slashing the sword, using the gust jar, and using the boots. So that's the way that we control RNG. And then the game will throw a bunch of other stuff, like enemy movement, enemy attacks, pot drops, and stuff like that. So again, manipulating it isn't super easy, especially when there are a lot of enemies. And in one of the rooms coming up, there is going to be a lot of enemies. So that's really the room that I'm the most worried about. If I could stop choking on my words, that would also be great, but you can't win them all. Okay, it looks good right now. So as long as I get through this room okay, we'll be good for the manipulation. I messed it up. Alright, well, that was that. We'll have to do it this casual way. Alright, well, so what's supposed to happen is the black dart in the middle right here should dash down, and then we roll down and we can just stun lock him against the wall and kill him. He did it anyway, sweet. So that is what we were manipulating. It just, I ended up being lucky, but sometimes luck is better than being good. Ah, heck. Oh, nice. Okay, I didn't need that. Alright, that was acceptable. So we're on the final boss. Vadi has 3 phases. Vadi 1, Vadi 2, Vadi 3. They have actual names. I don't actually know them. But they all have their particularities. So Vadi 1 can teleport a bunch of times, and hopefully he doesn't teleport too many times because it's basically super slow, and we don't want that. But for the most part, he's pretty easy. He's probably the most straightforward of the 3 phases. Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. Oh, crap. Okay, I did a really cool thing where I rolled into the flame, and that actually canceled the flame, but then I got hit by the next one after. So it didn't really pan out well for me. Should be one last one. Yeah. Vadi, Vadi, and Vadi. Yikes. Okay, so the 3 Vadi fights, Vadi 2 is probably the hardest. The beginning part isn't too hard. You just need to figure out where the red eyes are, and they're always in a C shape, and they're never in the same position twice. So now they're never gonna. So on the second one, they're not gonna be on the bottom C, for example. And now the next phase, they're not gonna be on the top C. The problem comes is that all of his attacks are pretty obnoxious. First of all, and second of all, there is a strat to do this fight in 3 cycles. But hitting it isn't the easiest thing in the world, so I'll try to go for it. I'm pretty consistent at it, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so it's on the right side. Alright, and this is the only boss that does this, but for some reason, if you spin attack and then slash him right away. That actually sort of like underflows his health and just kills him right away, and doesn't let us do another cycle after that. So it saves like 30 seconds. But it was actually found in a run, and the runner was like, "Okay, what the hell's going on?" Because it just cut out a cycle, which I guess at the time was cool. He was pretty surprised. Alright, so the run's sort of coming to an end. We have one final Vadi phase, or Vadi boss, whatever. One more Vadi fight, and we'll get to that pretty soon. I'll use this time to throw out a few shoutouts. So the Minish Cap community is pretty active in the Discord. If you want to learn the game, I'm actually working on a tutorial like right now. So if you want to learn the newest and hottest strats, now's the time. I'm not going to give individual shoutouts because I know I'm going to forget someone, and that's going to be shitty. So just shoutouts to everyone. They're pretty cool. There's also recently a world record progression video. So if you're interested in watching that, we'll drop a link in chat at the end of the run. But you know, for the most part, it's just Google Minish Cap world record progression. You'll find it pretty easily. And yeah, I would recommend watching that. You can listen to my voice even more. I know, right? Alright, so this is Vadi 3. He has two phases. The first one, you just need to use the cane to hit his arms. And then you need to hit the eye that's looking at you 8 times, and do that for both arms. There is no Vadi V. There's only Vadi 1, 2. What am I doing? I'm not quite there yet. He's gonna block me. Can I get to the hand? Thank you. Alright, that was fine. Alright, phase 2, we need to reflect the his blue ball attack back at him, but not the electric ball attack. We can actually manipulate what he does by just standing in front of him and not messing up like that. I think that happened because I was too close to him, which is not very nice of him. Alright. Okay, nice. Alright, exclusive strat coming up. Alright, time. That's Vadi. That's Minish Cap. The bomb kill is an exclusive from me. It's slower, but it's cool. Hope you guys enjoyed. That was Minish Cap. Yeah, as I said, check out the Discord. Community's awesome. Check out more runs. I'm basically going to be focusing on this game for a while, so if you want to see more, I'd recommend following my Twitch and advertise that in my first 2 runs, because that would have been a lie. But for this game, I will be focusing on for a while. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Oh, was it 149 on the dot? Wow. That was still really good. Thank you, thank you.